Hi,
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. And hi, Susie Sandberg, how are you?
Very good. Hello, Anne. Hello, Chris.
It's
Hi.
always amazing in this day of technology that I can actually do this and get us all live. So thank you so much for joining me. There's always that like 15 seconds of terror where you're like, am I doing this right? So anyway, again, my name is Anne and I am the host of the Aging Well series here at Women S. And this evening I have with me Susie Sandberg, who is our head of production and PR at Women S. And I am thrilled to introduce to our community Chris Freytag, who is a fitness, health, and lifestyle expert. She's also an author, and she has had over 40 years of experience working with women. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So
Hi.
my question to you, and we were talking about this just before we went live, what are the things that you need to do to change your body composition after the age of 50?
The
The
magic question that everybody
magic
asks
question.
for. So just hello, everybody. Just to mention too, I'm a 58-year-old woman. I went through menopause when I wish I would have written it down. You know what I keep telling my friends, and I've told my daughter, she's 30, is write stuff down. You will never remember it. Because
Sure.
I went back and I'm like, when did I go through menopause? And I'm like trying to remember, and I'm pretty sure I was either 51 or just 52. So that was my time. I've been like 6-7 years postmenopausal. And I work with women all the time who are going through it, heading up into that. They're in those perimenopausal years or they're postmenopausal. And they're at that point where they're like, my body's changing and I don't like it. And why is it changing? So just really quickly, yes, hormones are a really big part of it. We cannot deny that our hormones are fluctuating. And when you get past that menopause stage, they kind of even out a little bit. And then of course, women will choose, like myself, to do HRT or whatever it is that works for you. But hormones aren't the only thing that are driving your metabolism or causing the fat. And they also aren't like the inevitable. It's not like, oh, well, this is it. I'm old, so I'm just going to have this happen to me. You can combat it. And the power you have is what you put in your mouth and how you move your body. And people just go, well, that's too simple, Chris. That's just such a simple answer. I don't believe you. I'm like, yes, that's the answer. You can't, what you put in your mouth is the biggest health decision you make every day. So as we get older, and we can talk about, there's so many things you have to think about, what you're eating that can affect inflammation, hormones, sleep, mood, bodily functions, gut health, all that stuff. And then how you move your body. You have to move. And so many women hit this age where they're like, well, I'll be honest, I'm not motivated to move. I'm not motivated to exercise. I'm not doing any strength training. I feel kind of weak. I feel kind of tired. I'll do it tomorrow. That whole thing. So
Sure.
we can talk all about that, but you have so much control over it. And the way you're going to change your body composition is being a little more aware of what you're eating and moving your body.
And fiber, how does fiber play into this?
Well, fiber is super important because it's part of gut health. I mean, fiber will help keep you regular. Everything gets sluggish as we get older, if you will, including your gut. And so it's very helpful. I mean, fiber will help to reduce inflammation, will help to clean you out, if you will. So it's important, and it's important that you get all the right nutrients, and it's important that you are thinking about reducing things like processed foods that have so many artificial colors and flavors. And there was a girl that was in my fitness class the other day, and she was drinking this bright red thing, and she was telling me, I just don't feel my best, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, do you know what's in that drink you're drinking? She goes, no, I haven't really thought about it. And I'm like, well, it's bright red. And she's like, oh, I bet there's red dye in there. I'm like, eliminate that. Not that that's the thing that was making her tired at that moment, but it's the sum of all the little things.
Sure.
It's the sum of all the little things. And if I could be honest, I'll tell everybody who's listening, if there was one secret I would tell you, it's strength training. Strength training is the key to aging. And if you are not doing any strength training, I hope that while we're together here, I can convince you that you need to start.
So how do you start strength training? Like tell us the steps that you do.
Okay, so strength training, the definition of strength training is using your muscles. It means using your body. It's feeling your muscles contract. So yes, daily walking, like I'm a big daily walker, and that's a whole nother, listen, we could be talking here for the next 3 hours. But walking is amazing, and you do strengthen your lower body and you burn calories and you get your heart rate going a little bit. But like, you need to put muscle on your body composition. After about the age of 35, we start to lose about a half pound to a pound of muscle a year if we are not actively replacing it. So if you are someone who says, well, I was active, I was chasing little kids, I was a runner, I did this, I did that, and now I'm kind of sedentary and I work a career where I'm sitting at a desk, or I'm, doing, and I'm just not doing anything physical, you start to lose that muscle. And typically you probably are gaining a little body fat because your metabolism's slowing down, you're maybe gaining some weight, and it's coming in the form of body fat. So now you're weaker, you're more tired, your joints hurt, your bones are weakening. I mean, it's everything. It's bones, it's muscles, it's joints. And so you need to strength train to keep that muscle on, or at least, or add to it. And the more muscle, the more calories you burn at a resting heart rate. So that's really exciting. But how you get started is baby steps.
Right.
It's baby steps. Because when somebody says, I haven't worked out in a long time and I'm just going to pick up these weights and do this whole, intense workout. Now tomorrow my joints hurt so much I can barely pick up a glass of water, and I can't bend over to do the laundry, and I can't sit on the toilet. That's not fun.
Right.
Most people go, yeah, I'm never doing that again. So if you start with baby steps and let your body acclimate, pretty soon over the course of a week, over the course of a month, your muscles are going to get better at that movement, and you're going to get stronger, and then you can do more. Same with, so you're talking bones, muscles, and joints. You have to let them all acclimate.
Right. And it is that baby steps. And we talked about motivation. You've got to get motivated. You've got to.
Well, I'm going to say that motivation is the most overused word, because motivation doesn't just happen. Like, people always just go, I'm not motivated. How do I get motivated? I'm like, you don't just get motivated. Like, that is really hard. Mel Robbins herself says, action first. I've always said that, action first. So you're going to have to say, I'm drawing my line in the sand. Like, I know this is important for my health. I'm going to get up and I'm going to lift weights. I hate it. I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to, find a program, make it a little more palatable. Maybe you can find a program you like. That's what I do for a living, is I create workouts for women our age to try to hopefully make it a little more palatable. But get you, doing something. You're going to have to take action. Now, the motivation comes after that, because let's say you take action 7 days in a row, and then you take action 14 days. Now it's a month. Now you're motivated. Now motivation follows, because you're like, you know what, I'm kind of feeling good. I'm sleeping better. I'm moving better. My joints don't hurt. I'm losing some weight. And then the motivation comes. But don't feel bad about the fact you're not motivated, because nobody is intrinsically motivated.
I always find, for me, if I dress first thing in the morning to do exercise, then I am more likely to exercise than the days I wake up, don't get dressed to exercise, and say, I'm going to do it later in the day. 100% of the time I won't get to it later in the day. But if I have my clothes on first thing in the morning, I'm likely to do something, totally. Even if it's just a walk.
Yeah.
And it sounds like some of the viewers here do Get Healthy You.
I love it.
That's
some
great.
of our members. So I run an online platform called Get Healthy You TV. And it is, we have an app, we have a Roku and a Fire TV channel, and we deliver workouts via streaming. And we have workouts for every age group, all levels. And we drop 2 new workouts a week. And yeah, it's really fun. We have 6 trainers, not just me. So
that's great. And so we're talking about age. You are never too old. It is never too late to start moving. What are some of your easy beginner fat burning workouts that you have?
So if you aren't exercising at all, you're going to start with baby steps, like we said. And we do have online a bunch of workouts that are called Fat Burning Beginner, where what we do is we move a little slower and more intentional. Because if you are a beginner, you don't want to, turn on some program or go to some class where they're whipping the weights around and you're squatting and you're lifting and you're like, what is going on? We hear from a lot of women who say, like, this is new to me, so I want you to explain what's happening. I want to move in a slower range of motion so that I feel like I'm protecting my knees or my hips or whatever it is. And so we create workouts that are geared towards that whole concept. But the whole thing is, you just got to get started, and you're never too late. This author, Miriam Nelson, you've probably heard of her because she's been around for decades. She wrote Strong Women Stay Young, Strong Women, do this, do that. She has this whole series of books. But in her book, Strong Women Stay Young, which she probably published 20 plus years ago, she had studies of women in their 60s and 70s building muscle. I mean, it is possible to get stronger in your 70s. Even my own mother in her 80s, I'm working with her to get stronger because she has lost so much strength. She's having trouble walking. And, you know, a lot of times when we're younger, we're like, well, I can walk, I'm fine. But for our age group, at least, maybe some of you who are on this, you start to see your parents not being able to do some of these things. And you're like, uh-oh, okay, I need to take care of myself, because what you're doing now sets you up for a lifetime of movement.
And these are things you can do at home.
All at home. You really don't need equipment, although I will say body weight exercises are sometimes harder than dumbbell workouts because they involve pushing against your own body weight. And a lot of times people are like, oh no, body weight. But get a set of dumbbells. They're cheap. You can get them anywhere. And start with, if you've never lifted weights before, pick up 3-pounders and see how you feel. And then from 3-pounders to 5 and 5 to 10. Our Get Healthy UTV members, we have a private Facebook group, and they talk about it all the time. Like, I just graduated to 10-pound weights. I'm so proud of myself. I never thought I would do that. So just let yourself be a beginner. Let yourself start where you're at and progress.
And that's great that you have a community, because that helps with the motivation, right? Like you were saying before. Now you're doing it. Now other people are in it with you, and you're able to get the congratulations and congratulate other people and just celebrate where you are in each milestone. That's great. One of the things that I saw you were talking about on your Instagram page was low impact walking, and low impact walking at home. Since it's spring and the weather is going to be, you know, inclement, and you're in Minnesota, so you're never going to have good weather, at least till July. What is low impact walking, and how do you do that?
Well, basically, walking is low impact, so it's a little redundant. But a lot of people go, you know, I can't run. I hate to run. I'm like, okay, don't run. And they're like, I thought you had to run to lose weight. I'm like, no, you don't have to run. Walking is so worthy. So many people discount walking and think like, well, it's, you know, it doesn't do much for you. Yes, it does. There have been study after study after study of people who walk into old age. They keep bone mass in their leg muscles. They keep their hips healthy. They burn more calories throughout the day. Their mental health is better. They are more mentally set up to move more during the day because their body in motion stays in motion. I always say motion is lotion. So if your joints are stiff and sore, move. If you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, my back hurts, move your back, do some cat-cows, move around, because all of a sudden the body's natural synovial fluid will start to go in between those joints and lubricate them like lotion, and you'll feel better. So walking is low impact. It's amazing. We've all heard of the 10,000 steps, right? Have you guys heard like, and everyone always says like, what is that 10,000 step thing? Like, should I? And there is truthfully no science behind that. If you Google 10,000 steps and where it came from this guy, this scientist, I can't remember, I feel like he was Japanese or something, who arbitrarily picked this number, like 10,000 sounds like a good number, and the entire world is glommed onto it. The CDC here in America, and then America Walks and all these nonprofits glommed onto it. And honestly, it's a really good baseline. Like, it's a great baseline. That means that you've moved around for 5 miles approximately throughout the day, whether it's doing your daily chores or walking to work or walking through your office or actually intentionally taking a walk or getting on a treadmill or a walking pad or whatever you're doing. But getting those steps in will burn calories. It will improve your mood. It'll keep, you know, your joints, your hips, everything lubricated. And it is something that you can do for the rest of your life. Because as we get older, the impact on your joints, people don't always love it. I mean, some people will continue to jump up and down, but so many women come to me and they're like, I don't want to do that anymore. I had a sprained ankle. I was a soccer player. My knee is screwed up, my back, whatever it is. Low impact is completely worthy. And walking, like, I can't tell you how beneficial it is when people become walkers. They all of a sudden are like, I get it, Chris. I get it. Now I know why you say it's so important.
And you're right, from mental health too.
Yeah, for mental health. Absolutely. I'll tell a kind of funny story. My husband, you know, he hears all this from me and he listens to it, but he's joined this men's group where he's, learning a lot of things I've told him for 35 years, and he'll come home and he'll be like, hey, you know, I should do this, or they said I should do that. And I'm like, really? They told you to do that? Because I've been telling you to do that for 35 years. But they started walking in a group. He's been walking with a bunch of friends. which is such a thing that women do, right? We women walk together and we solve the world's problems. We
Yeah.
talk about all of our things, and it's therapy while moving. And so he's just all of a sudden becomes so enthused with these man walks he's doing with his friends. And I'm like, well, you're doing exactly what women do. See, now you know why every day I call my friends. I'm like, okay, what time are we walking? That is our catch-up time.
I have
Definitely.
a friend who says we're saving lives by walking,
Yes.
because
Yes.
no
Kinder,
one's getting killed.
gentler people once you've had a walk.
Exactly. We are saving lives walking.
And when you do the walk, like, do you want it to be like power walking and really getting into it, or just at times focus on the walk and other times just focus on the conversation? Both.
That's really a good question. So what I always tell people is there's a difference between window shopping and mall walking. So window shopping is just kind of walking around, you're breathing through your nose, you're kind of looking at stuff in the windows. Mall walking is like, I'm there with intention to walk, and you start to breathe through your mouth a little bit, which gets your heart rate up, a little aerobic. So you don't have to win a power walking race, but move a little faster. You can still talk, but then you can't talk incessantly. Maybe you let your friend talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk, and then so conversation is for sure happening. I call it comfortably hard. It's not like, it's hard. I mean, it's harder than just standing here like we are now, but it's not, it's still comfortable. And cardiovascular exercise, if you need to get your heart rate up for heart health is so important for women. Think about just getting to a point where you're breathing through your mouth. You're no longer just freely breathing through your nose, but where you're moving fast enough where you're like, you take a breath. Like, I just actually took a walk with my dog before this because I thought I'm not going to walk after this. And I walked up a hill, and as I was going up the hill, when I got to the top of the hill, I was like, whew, my heart rate went up on that hill. That's, really good. So that's a great question. Also, we have a ton of indoor walking workouts at Get Healthy UTV. So it's actually our most popular format that we have on the program. And we have over 700 workouts. But by far, in the top 10 viewed workouts, 5 of them are walking workouts. And people go, well, what do you mean you're walking? I'm like, well, it's kind of another word for marching. So we're marching in place. We're picking up our feet. We keep a pace, about a 4-mile-an-hour pace. And then we do some things. We move sideways, and we do some knee lifts. And you would be shocked, like how you start sweating. We have like a 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 step workout where you'll get those steps just in the comfort of your own home.
That's great. That I love that. And it's all building blocks, right? Because if you're exercising, you're sleeping better, you're probably then going to be eating better, hopefully. And that all leads to a better, healthier life. The one thing we come up against a lot is that tire. When we're coming into menopause, perimenopause, women are gaining weight, and they're gaining weight around the waistline. What do you do for that? What do you recommend that women do? Number 1, to strengthen their core, and number 2, to lose some of that weight.
So it's pretty common, and it really has a lot to do with fluctuating hormones. And I'm not a doctor, but when your estrogen and progesterone are really doing some, ocean wave type of reactions, like sometimes that fat just tends to focus in the middle. It does for men too. I mean, so look at some guys, in that older age, they start to get a tire too. It's just kind of a principle of some of the things that happen in old age. Now, when you shed fat, it sheds off your body evenly. So you can't just go, oh, I want to just remove fat here. Like, that's not possible. When you lose weight, it just kind of comes off your body evenly. I mean, evenly is relative, because I know women are always like, I lose my weight in my chest and my face first. Sure. It's like, I don't want to lose weight in either place.
Right.
But so weight will shed, and then you can sculpt or tone or strengthen the muscles that are underneath. I always say it's like the upholstery. So, it's the framework, and then you've got the upholstery on the outside. So if you can shed some of that fat, you'll see that 6-pack underneath. So strengthening your core while you're shedding fat will help you. It is really hard. And I'm such a realist. Like, I never tell women, oh, you're going to have flat abs next week, or you're going to have a 6-pack. Like, if you've never had a 6-pack in your life and you've got stretched out skin for 3 kids or whatever, I'm not telling you that's going to be perfect, because it's not. But can you look better? For sure. Can you feel better? For sure. And we older women too, we have to dress for our bodies too. We can't be so hard on ourselves. Like, life, we have a lot of like really good badges of honor, pregnancies and surgeries that women have had. I've had friends who've had hysterectomies and like all these things going on in our bodies. And if we can just Try to shed some of that weight, strengthen those muscles, not only because you'll look better, but honestly because you'll function better. You'll be able to hold those organs in better. Your posture will be better. Your ability to move will be better, and then dress for success. I'm always. I just did for the last 2 days. We've been doing
I love it.
swimsuits on
I saw your swimsuits.
Instagram.
I love them.
And I told my team
Love
it was
them.
a Sunday, and I'm like, I have no self tanner on, I have no makeup on, I don't
You
care.
look great.
This is me, and I'm going to show people that you can wear a swimsuit, because we all get to the point where it's like, oh, I don't
And
really
you had
want to put
two
on a swimsuit.
pieces.
I did 2 pieces.
I still do a 2-piece.
Well,
I don't care.
yeah, and I like a 2-piece, but I love a 1-piece with ruching on the stomach, because back to your point about the tire, like ruching really hides things. And like we found this really cute tankini that is kind of like a blousey. It's adorable. And if you had like a little tire there, it's going to cover it and you're going to look great. And I loved it because my daughter saw the post and she's like, Mom, look at you. She goes, I love those swimsuits.
I loved them. I loved the black one. There was a black one with a cutout I thought was adorable. And what I love about it is that swimsuit season is coming. It's here. It is within reach. I mean, the days are getting longer, so summer's gonna be here before we know it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the fashion on your page, we were talking before we went live about some of the Amazon finds that you have. I am a huge fan of the leggings that you promote, but tell us about some of the things that we should be looking for on Amazon.
Well, okay, and it all started, I became an Amazon influencer because what happened was a lot of the women who work out with us, I mean, and we have tens of thousands of women who work out with us, and they started commenting in like, hey, where can I get affordable workout clothes? I don't want to spend $128 on a pair of leggings to work out in my living room, and I get it. Like, some of those clothes are really, really expensive. And as a trainer on the luxury brands, we get discounts. But like if I had to pay full price, I'd be like, I don't think so. So I started seeking out affordable workout wear that also performed. So I started ordering it and trying it and then reporting back. And that's how it kind of all started. So now I really show a lot of fashion as an Amazon influencer now. And I work with Amazon. I order a whole bunch of stuff. I try it all. I never show anything that I don't like. Like I try everything on and I use it. And so I show things from fashion to like athletic wear, a ton of athletic wear, because that's kind of what I live in. But then I also show, just fashion for midlife women, like, what are you going to wear casual, or a winter coat, or I don't know, things where you don't want to spend like all your money on it, but you want something cute. And then styles change every year. So sometimes you don't want to invest in something because the next year you're going to want something different. Right.
Right.
So yeah, so I'm showing all the time. And we started polling our Instagram family that follows us. Like, do you guys like this? Like, do you want me to, cause I also post fitness content, obviously.
Sure.
And people were like, yeah, we love it. We want to know. And I'm like, okay, well, if I wasn't in fitness, I'd be in retail. So
right. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. I wear these tights that you promoted, the bay leaf, and I got them on Amazon. I probably have about 10 pair. I love them. I live in them.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
So I have a couple questions. The first one coming from our community is, how often should we be strength training?
So interestingly enough, okay, the CDC sets the guidelines for adults in America, which quite honestly, I don't really think the CDC should be the company or the entity that sets those guidelines. Like, who are those people anyway? Are they exercising? But anyway, that aside, what has been recommended is 150 minutes of heart pumping exercise a week. So 150 minutes, divide that up whenever you want, and 2 full body strength training sessions. And there's really no guideline on it. The CDC doesn't say do 10 minutes every day or 30 minutes. They just say use all of your muscles for a strength training session, no rules, twice a week. So what I would say, I parlay that to say to most women, try to lift some sort of, I love lifting dumbbells because I think the body weight exercises can be very hard. If you're not acclimated yet, push-ups can be really hard. Pull-ups are really hard. Squats and lunges are great. Sit-ups are hard. You got to just get used to them. But I say like 3 days a week. If you can pick up weights 3 days a week, go slow, start with baby steps, don't overdo it. What you want to feel, so when you're strength training, you want to feel muscle fatigue. That's the word you're looking for, fatigue. Like, oh, I can barely do one more. And you'll know you have the right amount of weight in your hands or whatever you're doing when you get to about 13 to 15 repetitions and you feel some fatigue. If you are doing, bicep curls like this and you're walking around the house, that's not going to break down the muscle fiber, if that makes sense. So you'll know if it's just too easy, go a little heavier, go slow and controlled so you aren't hurting your joints, and feel muscle fatigue. Now, muscle pain is different than muscle fatigue. So muscle pain is like, uh-oh, that hurts. So if someone's lifting up their shoulder like, ouch, that hurts, then I'm like, don't do that. You need to check out what's going on in your shoulder. But if you're doing this and you're like, oh, I can barely do one more, that's muscle fatigue. And the principle behind muscles is that you want to break down the fibers. Think like you were taking a hammer and hammering them, and then the muscle fibers break, and then they repair with protein, which is why we need protein. Protein feeds muscles. It doesn't make muscles. It feeds them and helps them repair and recover. And then you do it again. And so then you'll get a more dense, intense muscle that will help you do more in your life. You'll probably look better. You'll feel better. And so 3 days a week, to answer your question, is where I'd say like start, or even 2, but like, for instance, my 2 younger sisters who are just getting started with strength training. And they've kind of started and stopped a lot. If they're listening right now, they're probably going to send me a message.
They're like, come on.
But I would say that, I said, do what you can then. Can you commit to 2? Then commit to 2. Because don't overdo it. Like if you say to yourself, I'm going to swim every day because someone told me swimming works, but you hate to swim, I guarantee you're not going to do it. So if I tell you to strength train 5 days a week and you don't have time, you're not going to do it. Like, so what can you do? Maybe when you started 2 days a week is good, but 3 is kind of that magic number.
That's
and
good.
Me personally, I pick up weights 4 days a week on average. So I strength train about 4 days a week. And I feel like it's a lot at my age now. I used to do more like 5 or 6. And some weeks I'll do more if I'm like, I still teach some live classes. So if I have to sub a class for somebody or something. But 4 days a week is like enough for me with weights. And then I do some cardio in between there, and I walk a lot. Like on the weekends now, I walk. And the other thing I'd really like to tell people is let your life change. Like everything's different based on where you are in your life. When my kids were little, my schedule was different. Then when, I was traveling a ton for work, my schedule was different. Now at this point in my life, just the way everything's working, I tend to front load my weights, because people always say to me, do I have to wait a day in between? No. I mean, if you're super sore, that's your body saying muscles are broken down, and then maybe you do want to give it a day or 2 or 3 in between. But I tend to front load my weights just based on my schedule. So I go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with weights. Friday is my cardio day, and Saturday and Sunday are my friends' day. We just walk and talk and walk the dogs, and we'll just go for hours just having fun. And that's different than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I used to lift weights on Saturdays. So like, let your life change, you know what I mean? There's no right way. That's, I think, the hardest thing for us type A people is there is no right way to do it.
Right.
One last question. It's about warming up. Should we be warming up? I think I already know the answer. And how long should we be warming up for?
Yes, you need to warm up to hopefully prevent injury. I would say what warming up is kind of like a dress rehearsal for what you're going to do. So let's say you're going out for a walk, even just doing a couple of, squats, hip circles with your hips, just getting your hips warmed up, just kind of twisting through your core just to make sure that your back is ready, maybe a couple cat-cows, and then start walking at just a decent pace, and then you can pick your walking pace up. If you're doing a fitness class, and the instructor is probably going to take you through some sort of warm-up so here's the key with the warm-up. You want to get your heart rate up a little bit, so your heart rate has to, come up. Then you want to, I see a thumbs up. I've got some sort of like
It happened.
emoji. I've got some emojis going. Yeah, heart, here we go. And then, so you want to get your heart rate up. Then you want to get your joints warmed up. So mobility, the word mobility is about where two bones come together. That's a joint. So shoulder circles. I always do these before I'm doing any strength training, backwards and forwards, because that's going to warm up this ball and socket joint. I do wrist rolls before I pick up weights. I do hip circles. I do runner's lunges. Things that can give me mobility, so joints move better, lengthen my muscles a little bit, and get your heart rate up. If you're going to do a 10-minute workout, you know, you kind of just ease in. It's probably not going to be that, like you do maybe like a minute to warm up and then you slowly acclimate up in 10 minutes. If you're going to do an hour-long workout, I usually go about 10 minutes warming up. Just, it's kind of a ramping up stage. It's the dress rehearsal for what's to come.
It is so important. I cannot thank you enough for joining us here. This has been such a great, fun conversation, and I am so excited to get motivated. I mean, I'm going to work out for 2 weeks, so then I'm motivated to continue
Right.
it.
And I'm sorry I kept talking so much, but you kept asking me
No,
questions.
we love
I
it.
mean,
We love it. It's great. And we, like I said, we always say this is building blocks, right? This is our second half of life. We want to enjoy it. We want to do as much as possible. And it's a great way to do this at home. It's a great way to exercise at home, exercise with your friends, get out walking, just get out and live.
Well, I'll leave you with one thought. I always say, I don't want just more years. I want better years. You know, I want to be good. And I always think back. So I think, okay, right now at 58, if I were to go back, if I can live for 30 more years to 88, I'm kind of thinking I will. My parents are 85. I mean, I'm hoping. So let's just say I have 30 more years of my life. If I went backwards 30 years, that would put me at 28. I don't even remember what I was doing at 28. Like, that's a lot of life from 28 to 58. If I still have that much left, don't you want to feel good? You know, so that's kind of like that thing to get you going. Like, my goodness, we still have so much ahead of us.
So much. And it's great. I'm glad I'm not 28. I love being 53. I love having the mental awareness that I have. And I don't mean by the brain fog, because I got brain fog all day long. But what I know, my confidence, how I am living my life my own way. I've already raised my kids. I've already had my great career. This is my time now. And I want to live it to the fullest, and I want to feel good.
I love it. Me too. And that's what I love. I love everything that Woman Us stands for. Just, you know, we have to help each other out at this point of life. We got to talk about everything. We got to talk about it all.
I run our community on our private Facebook group called the After Party. And we're always talking about this, right? Like living that second best half of life and getting the things that you can do to help you do that, like taking supplements, like exercising, like finding community, all of those things and finding the right doctor. So all of those things can help you live a better life and a fulfilling life.
Yep. Love it.
So thank you. And thank you to everyone for joining us. We love that you shared a bit of your evening with us. And if you have any questions, you can post them in the comments. And otherwise, we will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining us.